Alright gang, it is about 5 till 5 o'clock on this Tuesday, March 16th, 2021. Good evening to you. I'm your host, meteorologist Jeremy Capel. Thanks for stopping by with this update, focusing of course on a severe weather outbreak which appears to be imminent at this point. Focusing, even though we are looking at the possibility of some stronger thunderstorms overnight tonight, some severe weather possible overnight tonight for parts of the southern plains. The real focus should be lower Mississippi River Valley. Parts of the southern and southeastern US look like they're under the gun for a significant, if not major, severe weather outbreak. And I do expect it to get going in earnest as we head on into the day tomorrow. A lot of ingredients are coming together. So during the next 25 minutes or so, we're going to walk you right through what's happening outside right now. And then we'll take you through the timeline. We're going to look at some of the ingredients that are coming together for the possibility of very large hail, damaging if not destructive winds. But I think the big one that most people are concerned with are the possibility of strong tornadoes, and many of them may occur at night. Tomorrow night looks like a particularly bad situation. So with that being said, let's get on over to a little bit of radar imagery before we take a look outside. And we're just getting started here on this update. Radar imagery showing thunderstorms are developing right now across parts of the southern US. This is well in advance of the actual low. That low is going to lift out of the southern Rockies. All that moisture along the Gulf Coast will begin to stream northward very quickly. With that being said, I want to get the word out over to our friends on Facebook. I did just get the tweet out letting people know that we were on here with this live stream, and we appreciate you guys stopping by. And if you don't mind, quick thumbs up. That's always appreciated. So that's off and it's running. Let's see who we have on here. All right, I've got Henry Swinson on. Good afternoon to you. Said he started watching you guys a few months ago. Keep it up. I appreciate that. We will be doing more and more, especially as the weather becomes more turbulent. My background is very heavy in severe weather, so this is something that I enjoy doing, and I know it can help a lot of people. These storms currently, most of them are sub-severe as you're taking a look across the parts of the south, but the storm of interest is going to be the upper low that is spinning out west. And that's this feature right here. It's kind of like this bowling ball, if you will. This is going to be diving right now, located across the Four Corners region. This is an area of upper low pressure that's going to bring, again, some really nasty changes to our forecast here in the coming days ahead. Take a look at another source for you here. That same upper low can be viewed right here. This is the enhanced infrared satellite imagery. You've got moisture pulling out of Texas out in advance of it, but the deep Gulf moisture is going to remain further east. So we think that the worst of this weather will actually move past Texas and Oklahoma, but it's really into areas like Arkansas, northern Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and maybe Georgia. I think you guys are going to be primed for some really rough weather here over the next 36 hours or so. All right, back over to our radar source. I'm going to show you guys where we do have, again, the active areas of interest by the Storm Prediction Center. They've put out their risk areas well in advance of this storm. So this is a live satellite. We've got live temperature. Obviously, big temperature difference. You've got 80s along the Gulf Coast, South Texas, and then you've got 30s up in the northern Rockies. Bismarck also at 36 degrees. So you've got that true clash of the air masses, as often is the case this time of the year. Let's come on over here. We'll take off our radar data. Okay, radar satellite off. Let's go on into the Storm Prediction Center. Take a look at your day one threats. So anywhere you have that green color, that's kind of low end threat. That's a marginal risk of severe weather. The yellow there that stretches from near Jackson, Mississippi through Dallas, northward towards Oklahoma City. In parts of Kansas, that is that slight risk of severe weather, and then you make your way north of Oklahoma City. And that's where you're looking at that enhanced risk of severe weather. So this will go through 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. So basically it's overnight tonight where, again, if I turn my radar back on, you're not going to find much going on out there right now. And they're just not developing yet. Understand that the storms that we do have out to the further east, these are along what will become a warm front. Okay, that warm front's going to lift north this way. Will enhance that severe risk late tonight. But out west, where we do have the enhanced risk, out here in northwest Oklahoma, that's where that upper low is going to eject later on tonight, and we'll begin to see some pretty nasty storms. Now, tonight, we'll see a few stronger thunderstorms, some hail, maybe a little bit of wind, but it's tomorrow. Boy, look at that. Let me turn off the radar. Yeah, this is ugly, guys. This is a very, very large area they've already painted. And that red there, that is a moderate risk of severe weather. That's the second highest threshold. And a moderate risk 2 days in advance this large, pretty rare. I would be surprised if they do not upgrade this to a high risk at some point tonight or tomorrow morning. But those areas of most concern, Memphis to Birmingham, Birmingham to Meridian to Jackson to Monroe to Little Rock. Bounded by that is the enhanced risk, which goes from Springfield to far western Georgia to Mobile to Shreveport. And then that's the slight risk bounded outside of that in the yellow. But this is the area that we're very concerned with. And from a probabilistic standpoint, this is a pretty sure bet for severe weather. Now, once we get beyond tomorrow and tomorrow night, this goes through tomorrow night, then we head on into Thursday. That risk is there, that day 3 enhanced risk for parts of the Southeast Carolinas and also parts of Georgia. We're not going to spend much time talking about Thursday. We're going to really spend the rest of our time here focused on this right here, which is tomorrow and tomorrow night in that enhanced risk. Let's jump on over. I want to show you guys some weather model imagery. If you guys don't mind, a like and share. As always, it's appreciated. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell. That way you guys know when we're live. We will cover live, especially when you have active severe weather. This is kind of more of a forecast heads up, since we're talking about what's going to happen tomorrow. There's that upper low as it dives out of the Rockies into the southern plains tonight, tomorrow. And it's a vigorous low, a lot of energy associated with that. I've got Robin Kuhlman in here. Good afternoon from Steve Vallone, thank you. Yeah, it's, this is what you, if you're a meteorologist, if you track storms, chase storms, this is the type of setup that's going to get a lot of attention, as it should. So what I'm showing you here, those fast-moving upper-level winds diving out of the Rockies into the Lone Star State tomorrow, but let's move forward in time, because tonight and tomorrow, I should say, yeah, I mean, this is it lifting tomorrow. But it's gonna take a little bit longer before it encounters that deep Gulf moisture. So here's another vantage point showing you that same low. We'll go a little bit further east in this one and slow it down just a skosh. Look at these winds at about 500 millibars, so you're talking about up there above you at about 15,000 feet or so, where you've got winds that are somewhere in the order of 70 to 90 knots. So very strong winds a short distance aloft. Now you couple those winds with a surge of moisture coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. And so I can show you that here. These are projected CAPE values. That's convective available potential energy. And really, you're kind of looking out for those yellows. You can have really healthy, strong thunderstorms in the greens, but once you start to get yellow this time of the year, that's 1,500 to 2,000 to the orange there. That's where you've got 2,500 units of CAPE. And this all comes together with heating tomorrow, remains in place tomorrow night. And so with that, that's where we're going to see the possibility, that dangerous combination of high levels of heat and humidity with a tremendous amount of wind energy a short distance above the surface. And all else being equal, that's a bad combination. I'd be very interested to see how much actual daytime heating we get tomorrow, how much sunshine mixes in, because that will also help to determine the strength of the daytime storms. I think we have plenty of fuel to go well to the overnight period tomorrow night. And because of that, I think we need to be on the lookout for the possibility of strong tornadoes at night as we head towards tomorrow night. So that much not good for all parties involved. I'm going to bring up a future cast for you coming up here in just a couple of moments. Right now it's 5:07. We got on here about 5 till 5. I plan on bringing this broadcast down by 5:20, maybe a little bit sooner than that. So we were up for about 10 minutes here, trying to give, again, heads up on what everybody is seeing. Let's go back over to our weather models, and I can show you what it looks like from that perspective. This is the satellite view showing that upper low diving through the Four Corners region. If you are to take a look at what the jet stream winds are doing above us, watching the exit of the most recent system, you've got kind of a cutoff low that's swirling across parts of the upper Midwest, but the one of interest is this low that's right here. A lot of energy, and it's just going to flow out of the Rockies, and as it does so, it's going to have to pull up the moisture, and that combination is going to bring us some pretty turbulent conditions here. Let's go back over to our radar source, and I want to point out what the temperatures are doing, because it's getting that time of the year when you would expect us to heat up, and we are heating. Also, moisture begins to increase this time of the year. Vegetation in the south, again, nice and green. Look at those temperatures, all in advance of that storm. All right, there you go. And so you're seeing some heating. You can see visible satellite here with radar, and that boundary. Now that boundary is important, not so much for the temperature. It's plenty warm either side of that boundary, but take a look at the dew point. So I'm going to go back to that dew point temperature, which is a measure of how much moisture is in the air. Ah, that's the difference. You have a dew point of 46 in Little Rock. That's not going to produce severe weather. Dew point of 46 in Fort Smith, Springfield 41. But you get down here where that juice is, right? And on the other side of that front, that's where you've got 60, 65 degree dew point temperatures. Look at New Orleans, the dew point's at 70. That's your juice. The juice is there. And as they say, the juice will soon be loose. Sorry, I couldn't resist. But all of that lifting northbound, and so all that fuel going to rise up to the north out in advance of that guy. And that's the upper low that's going to cause big time problems for much of the area. All right, severe parameters are going to be very high with this. So I want to look at those next. Severe weather parameters. Keep the likes and shares going. Thank you very much for those that are following us. Let's jump back over to these models here. Okay, so we were looking at CAPE, convective available potential energy. It maximizes late tomorrow afternoon and evening as you would expect it, and then it begins to gradually diminish overnight tomorrow night. But I think we keep a lot of energy around into the overnight period, which means there's going to be the possibility of nighttime tornadoes. Let's talk about some of those parameters that we look at. Here's one for you. This is the this particular imager here, significant tornado parameter. It pegs at around 10, and we have some areas by late afternoon tomorrow, 7, 8, 9, approaching 10 across portions of Arkansas, northern Mississippi. This will be along the warm front. That warm front lifts to the north. It will become the focus of not just thunderstorms, but unfortunately it's going to become the focus for directional shear. That means those storms are going to rotate, and they're going to rotate strong. So because of that, that tornadic potential goes up. We fast forward here until, so this is late afternoon, early evening. And you can see we're at that threshold, 8, 9, 10, all the way up through Arkansas. I doubt that we see it as far north as shown here into Missouri, but Arkansas, and then making its way into western Tennessee, late afternoon tomorrow could be bad. And then even once we get into the overnight period tomorrow night, you remain very much elevated with these, what we call, again, it's a indicator of the likelihood of strong tornadoes, significant tornado parameter. And this is for the overnight period tomorrow night. So late evening and overnight, Mississippi, Alabama, where you see those purples and whites, that's 7, 8, 9, and 10 on the scale. And I'm always particularly leery of those nighttime events. People just, especially early in the season, they may be lacking awareness, and certainly at night makes it difficult to see. I'm going to pause right here because those thresholds begin to go down a little bit tomorrow night, but I'm pausing it here. This is 4 o'clock in the morning, and we're still looking at those significant tornado parameters, or STPs, at 5, 6, 7, maybe locally 8. That's very high in the state of Alabama. That's where I expect, again, the weather to really be problematic. So, all right, let's see who we have on the program tracking this nasty upper low that'll be ejecting out of the Rockies tomorrow. There's a look at it. It is 5:13. Thank you for being here. If you don't mind a quick thumbs up, as always, it is appreciated. Paul on here. Will it reach the northeast corner of Tennessee? I'm going to take a look at the futurecast with you tomorrow, with you coming up, so that we can walk you through the whole thing. Life Marketing, they are likely to upgrade it to a high risk spot tonight. I agree. I read their discussion. It looks like pretty much all ingredients are in play, so outside of a real surprise, this will become a high risk event. I agree with that. I think they're going to do that too. So again, high risk, you're talking about top tier of severe weather outlooks. You typically don't get too many of these. You may get one, you may get 2 a year. Not too many. This is some pretty rare air. Oh, interesting. Something I just noted here on our radar. I want you to look at this. This is interesting. And it's also something that coincides with spring storms. What is it that I'm getting at? Take a look at that imagery. I don't know how I missed that earlier. Okay, so that upper low, you can see it spinning with the white cloud tops, right? Here's what's interesting to me. You see this down here? That's dust and sand. They're having a sand and dust storm in West Texas. And again, it's not uncommon this time of year, especially because there's so little vegetation and the winds are that strong. But they are. This is sand and dust. Interesting. I didn't expect to catch this. I wasn't looking for it, but that's what that is. And in fact, if we go back over to our other media source, hold on, give me a second, I'll load it up. I bet you we have high wind warnings or red flag advisories down there. Yeah, that's what it is. So here you go. Go back over to, this is current warnings across Texas and New Mexico. The pink, those are red flag warnings. And then you got wind advisories that are in the brown, high wind warnings up there towards Lubbock. There's actually a winter storm warning and blizzard warning. That's for far southeastern Colorado. So that's happening. That's very interesting perspective, though. You don't see that very often. Now look how the dew point has dropped. Again, we're still looking at dew point temperatures here. They've dropped to below zero out there in El Paso. Again, that's that dry desert air coming out of northern Mexico. That's crazy. That's really neat to watch. All this will play a factor. That dry air, you're going to get a warm layer aloft that we call the elevated mix layer. That's going to play a factor in our forecast. So let's get to your forecast now. I wanted to pull up one sounding before we go any further. And a forecast sounding, it's a forecast profile of what the atmosphere is expected to look like across, this will be northern Alabama by late tomorrow. So this is not your image. Let me pull it up. Here we go. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. And the computer models, they're looking at these and they're looking for similarities to events that we've seen in the past, and they try to pair them up. Well, they're pairing this one up, and there's some dates probably down here if I squint enough. But what we've got is a pretty nasty looking profile. They're calling it PDS tornado. PDS stands for particularly dangerous situation. Would not at all be surprised if they issued a PDS watch with tornadoes tomorrow. But basically, you've got, in this part of this, I'm not going to spend a lot of time because it's very technical, but just looking at the wind profile, the winds go from slightly back southeast at the surface, and they quickly increase as you go in height, and they're due southwest by the time you get to about 700 millibars. So there's a lot of turning as you go up in the atmosphere. We're detecting models over 2,000 units of CAPE out of this particular sample. So a lot of turning of the atmosphere, a lot of energy. Moral of the story is we're going to have some rough weather, and it's going to get nasty. So let's walk you through some of our models. Paul was asking about Tennessee. We'll take a look at the broad view. This is going to be courtesy the 3K NAM. And so here we go. That surface low pressure begins to develop across the panhandle tonight, where they are seeing some of that wind. You have thunderstorms that blow up over Kansas. These will not produce more than hail, maybe a few wind gusts, but these are not going to be tornado producers. And then it shows those storms as they roar into portions of the middle Mississippi River Valley, Tennessee River Valley tomorrow morning. So that's the first line, and then the main event, I think, occurs here late afternoon and evening tomorrow and into tomorrow night. So let me zoom in on this. We'll use also the 3K NAM. And here you go. So this is what it shows. We're going to pick up activity here this will be along the warm front. You see there in Mississippi. It is possible you could have a few quick tornadoes northern Mississippi late tonight. So after, say, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't think this is going to be all that widespread, though. But that's the actual warm front. As it begins to lift to the north, that warm front is going to get stuck somewhere up here in Tennessee. So this is going to be your warm front right there. So any of these storms along that warm front could rotate, could cause problems. That means all of this area here is really going to destabilize. That's where we have models projecting the CAPES, the convective available potential energy, in excess of 2,000 units, which is a lot for this early in the season. Okay, so this is tomorrow. I'm pausing it here. This is about 2 p.m. tomorrow. And then again, I don't think this is the worst. So that's round 1, lifting away. Here comes round 2. This is 8 p.m. tomorrow. This is round 2. I think this will be the worst of it. It begins to develop. This is in advance of the cold front. So here's the actual cold front. In advance of that cold front, though, you got many of these, we'll call them discrete cells. And so because it's not a full squall line, they're going to be capable of turning. Again, the energy is robust with this storm. The significant tornado parameter in this area, between 7 and 10, very high. You could have strong, if not violent, tornadoes starting during the evening here tomorrow. So just a little over 24 hours away from the main thrust of this event. And then this is the issue I have, is that these storms are not going to go away. I pause it here at midnight. And these are still very strong. They do seem to be clustering across portions of central Tennessee. And I would estimate it's the southern part of the zone that will have the highest risk of significant tornadoes, but that risk is very high. And then any of these down here in eastern Mississippi moving into Alabama will remain very capable of spinning, very capable of producing touchdowns at night. So this is midnight tomorrow night, and then it moves through the state of Alabama. I'm going to pause it here. This is 4 a.m. Again, still capable. We should lose some heating, so maybe they'll lose a little bit of punch. And then finally, by around daybreak, they're moving into northern Georgia, not as strong. Paul was asking about Tennessee. Eastern Tennessee, northeastern Tennessee, rain, some rumbles of thunder. I think your severe risk is going to be low because so much of the moisture is going to be a lot further south than where you're at. All right, that's the synopsis. I said we'd be out by 5:20. Looks like I'm going to be late here by a couple of minutes, but I wanted to acknowledge the people that came into the room. Johnny Klein, do you think there could be a few tornadoes tomorrow from the system? I think there could be a lot of tornadoes, Johnny. Could have 2 rounds. One of them, the first one will arrive in the morning and it will exit by early afternoon. And then the stronger line, I think the stronger potential is late day into the evening and overnight. And unfortunately, I think we could see, again, strong tornadoes out of that. Maybe even strong nighttime tornadoes. As you can see, in New York, things are pretty quiet. Got a lot of ducks in the bay right now. Traded away a lot of our ice, though. Things are beginning to warm up, so sign of spring, right? If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Easy for me to say, subscribe. And check the notification bell if you like the content I'm providing. We will be providing updates tomorrow as warranted, and as these tornadoes develop. We'll be monitoring those in real time. In the meantime, I want to thank our patrons for supporting our program. We appreciate you, and that should do it for this update. Again, focusing on the threat of severe weather tomorrow. One final look at that area of moderate risk for the day tomorrow. And you can see a lot of area here. A lot of people will be impacted by this storm. That's the area that we're most concerned with. The weather that's occurring out there right now, it's sub-severe, but we'll pick up in intensity here overnight tonight, and certainly into the day tomorrow. It's going to be an interesting day. Again, a moderate risk will likely be upgraded to a high risk of severe weather. Portions of the Deep South, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Alabama, all under the gun. We'll continue to monitor. We'll have updates as they become available. Thanks for being here. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.